Welcome to Cognitive Curves, the podcast where we untangle the intricate threads of the human mind. I'm your host, and today we're diving headfirst into a topic that's gripped millions worldwide: our obsession with true crime. From late night documentaries to binge worthy podcasts, it seems like we just can't get enough. But why? What is it about these dark, twisted tales that keep us hooked? And more importantly, is this fascination normal? Let me set the scene. It's 10 p.m., you've had a long day, and you're curled up on the couch. Instead of picking a lighthearted rom-com, you find yourself drawn to a chilling true crime documentary. As the story unfolds, your heart races, your palms sweat, but you can't look away. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Research shows that millions of people worldwide have a similar pattern, seeking out stories that should, in theory, terrify us. But there's a fascinating psychological explanation for this. One reason for our obsession lies in our brain's wiring. The amygdala, our emotional processing center, lights up when we're exposed to fear or danger. But here's the twist. When we consume true crime, the danger isn't immediate. We're safe, watching from the comfort of our homes. That distance creates a psychological safe zone where we can experience fear without actual risk. Think of it like a mental roller coaster, adrenaline pumping but ultimately safe. This ties into a concept called vicarious fear. According to Dr. Colton Scrivener, a researcher specializing in morbid curiosity, we're hardwired to pay attention to threats, even if they don't directly involve us. It's an evolutionary advantage. By studying dangerous situations, whether they happen to someone else or are entirely fictional, we're preparing ourselves for potential threats. It's like taking a survival class without ever leaving the couch. But let's dig deeper. There's also a strong social and moral component at play. True crime often revolves around good versus evil. The stories usually highlight justice, or sometimes the lack of it, and we're naturally drawn to those narratives. It taps into our innate sense of morality. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who deserves punishment? This moral puzzle engages our cognitive abilities, making true crime more than just entertainment. It's an ethical exploration. Take the infamous case of Ted Bundy. Many of us know his chilling crimes, but what truly fascinated the public was his duality. A seemingly charming, intelligent man hiding a monstrous nature. This dichotomy forces us to confront a terrifying question. How well do we really know the people around us? And it's not just Bundy. Cases like Chris Watts or Jeffrey Dahmer strike a similar chord. They're not just stories of murder, they're stories of betrayal, deception, and human complexity. Now, let's flip the lens to something even more personal: control. Consuming true crime can give us a false sense of control. We start to believe that by learning how these crimes happened, we can avoid becoming victims ourselves. It's why so many true crime stories include cautionary tales: don't walk alone at night, never hitchhike, or always lock your doors. It's as if we're building a mental checklist of how not to get murdered. Studies like those from Dr. Victoria Anderson at the University of Central Lancashire suggest that this perceived control can actually reduce anxiety, even if it's an illusion. But it's not all just survival instincts and moral dilemmas. True crime also taps into our curiosity, especially about the darker side of human nature. Why do people commit such heinous acts? Are they born evil, or does society play a role? These are profound questions, ones that psychologists and criminologists have studied for decades. A 2010 study by Dr. David Buss found that understanding violent behavior helps us decode the complexities of human aggression, which, let's face it, is a part of our evolutionary history. We're not just entertained by true crime, we're trying to understand ourselves and our species. There's also the cultural aspect. Media plays a huge role in shaping our fascination. From sensationalist headlines in the 1800s to today's Netflix documentaries, true crime has always been a hot commodity. But the difference now is accessibility. With podcasts like Serial or My Favorite Murder, we can dive into these stories anytime, anywhere. The storytelling formats are immersive, almost addictive, making it easier than ever to lose ourselves in these narratives. Let's not ignore the communal aspect either. talking about true crime has become a social phenomenon. It's not uncommon to hear friends swapping theories about unsolved cases or debating the psychology of a killer. This shared fascination creates a sense of connection. In a world where isolation is becoming increasingly common, true crime gives us something to bond over, even if it's over something as grim as murder. But here's the million-dollar question. Is it normal? The short answer is yes. Psychologists generally agree that our fascination with true crime is rooted in natural psychological and evolutionary processes. However, like anything, balance is key. If consuming true crime begins to make you overly paranoid or impacts your mental health, it might be time to step back. Remember, the goal is to engage your curiosity and critical thinking, not to live in fear. And for those wondering if this fascination says something about your character, don't worry. Studies show that people who enjoy true crime are often empathetic and curious, not morbid or desensitized. They're drawn to the stories because they care about justice, human behavior, and the complexities of life. So, if you've ever been glued to a true crime story, it's probably a testament to your humanity, not a flaw. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with a question. What is it about true crime that resonates with you? Is it the thrill, the psychology, the quest for justice, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the psychology of true crime. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Cognitive Curves and leave a review. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the complexities of the human mind. Stay safe out there,